Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm so excited to have Cindy Edison back today, our most popular interview ever on the channel. And if you get a chance, check out that first interview so you can know a little bit more about Cindy and her background. And Cindy channels Joseph. And we will get a little bit better understanding of Joseph through this interview. But Joseph is essentially we're channeling an aspect of the new earth. It's a part of the process of moving to the new earth. And when we say the words new earth, it means a lot of different things. And so we covered a lot of that stuff on the first interview, but we've had a lot of people asking new questions. And so I just wanted to bring Cindy back on so we can go through some of what we've been learning as we go along. So welcome to the Reality Revolution, Cindy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are so grateful. We are so grateful for this. You are amazing. It shocks me every day when I see all this stuff that you're doing. I don't know that you ever sleep. I mean, I don't know how you do it. You know, it makes me feel very lazy.
I don't. I barely work on it. I do my episode and somebody else does the sound, somebody else. So
Wow,
I
you're
hear that
lucky.
and I laugh because it would be like when, somebody that plays tennis every day saying that person never sleeps because they can
Yeah,
see that tennis for it, I mean?
yeah, I guess, but I'm just always amazed. I feel
Well, I
very
appreciate
lazy,
that.
but
Means a lot to me.
yeah,
And
well,
I'm
we're
grateful.
grateful. We're grateful.
And so tell me a little bit more of what kind of growth and learning that you've had since we last spoke and the stuff that you've heard from Joseph so that we have a starting point.
Well, Joseph is just moving. Joseph is just moving forward, and the information that's coming through on a daily basis now is just it's just several ways to expand. It's a lot of information about how to teach it in a simplistic way so we can understand it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guinea pig for that. So
Right.
in the first book, they say we're going to, in the first few pages, they say, relax and watch how we demonstrate the new human to you. And it just occurred to me, like, it's me. I mean, and they've been saying you have to experience everything. So part of that is, we're really getting into the teaching of the aspects of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
That we are the human aspect of the soul. And of course, the ego aspect that I love, that is controversial. I get that. A lot of this stuff is going to be controversial because we are changing the perspective, not changing, we're offering a new perspective of the old paradigm teachings that were served their purpose at the time and were conjured in and created in a realm of contrast, a realm of fear. I mean, with all good intention. But now as the consciousness of us, we're speaking for us, of course, of us and Seth and Abraham, as this consciousness expands, the teachings expand because the whole purpose is for us to learn more about who we are. And with that understanding comes expansion, and it's never ending. So
Right.
we've been talking about the aspects a lot because we are in a time of what is being taught now is called healing the planet, or healing the human, healing what some people say the soul. We teach the perspective from Joseph's side is that it's not a healing, it's an expansion from. It's an expansion from the vibration that creates the thought that you need to be healed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we're moving. What we're teaching is the journey from the contrast to the new earth. It's the pathway. They're guiding us on the pathway to the new earth from their perspective. And there's tons of teachings about this,
Right.
and everybody teaches based on their higher self and their experience and their purpose. And there's a
Right.
lot of different ones, and they resonate with that. There's so many because we're all unique.
Now, I will probably ask Joseph, but I want to ask you first.
We're all the same.
Right. So there's been people that are starting to channel Seth again. I was watching Kevin Moore on We Are Channelers. Somebody was channeling Seth again. And so when it's an integration of Seth and Abraham, so you're channeling multiple different entities that choose to speak with you at a given time. Explain so that we can understand how you, because you're saying it's an aspect of
Yes.
Abraham, an aspect of Seth, perhaps at a different level. Help us to understand what it is and how it works so that we can wrap our minds around it.
Okay. I will explain it to you the way they explained it to me.
Okay.
And when they finally started explaining it to me, it occurred to me that it took me, like 15 years to get to the point where, in human years,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to get to the point where I could understand it. And so that whole unfolding that I won't go into because we went into
Right.
that in the first interview. But what they said was, and it made so much sense to me. And the reason that they're telling us about this progression of this message that for us started with Seth and then went to Abraham, and now Joseph comes in, and it will continue. It will always continue because the way they explained it to me and the visual that I had was kind of like this big blob of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And as the consciousness expands, there's more to teach. So as our awareness expands, the human collective awareness, as we expand, we need to understand more. We ask for more. That's how we expand,
Right.
by asking. And it is given. So the teachings are, timing is everything. First of all, so they are event driven. So when the human collective gets to the place where we can understand more about who we are, more comes in.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that Seth and Abraham or any other channeler or channel or whoever anybody's hearing is any more or less. They're all just different. And they're done that way. It's that way on purpose because we all are so unique that we resonate with different messages.
Right.
Some people will walk away from Joseph, not even give it a second thought, but they will gravitate toward a Dolores Cannon or, anybody else, a Matt Kahn. Doesn't matter who it is, but that's why there's so many perspectives.
Right.
Because we're talking about an energetic attraction, a vibrational attraction that attracts you to the message that you're asking for.
So there is a universality in a lot of these channelings when we're talking about the new earth,
Yeah.
going all the way back, in that there's this sort of choice that's happening between a service to self and then serving others. Have they explored that with you? There's a big difference if I choose just to do this all for myself, or if I open up myself and start to see myself and others. Um, but you're also talking about the ego, which is sort of a self-based concept. So there's a little bit of, I wanted to get your perspective on how Joseph is looking at that in particular.
Okay. Well, first of all, the self that you're talking about, I understood exactly what you're saying. And Joseph is saying that that self you're talking about is the one.
Right.
So when you are in alignment and you are acting and living authentically and living with a blending, as we're demonstrating, a blending of your higher self and your human aspect, your non-physical aspect and your human aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we'll live on the new earth. This is what I've been shown and taught, and this is what we're teaching. This
Right.
is how we will live, which is why we need to move beyond the fearful realm. Anyway, I distracted myself, sorry.
That's okay.
So when you serve from that perspective, from the soul's perspective, when you serve yourself, you are serving the all.
Right. But
Remember, Abraham says one in alignment is more powerful than a million who are not.
But if
Because
I'm
that
serving
one,
myself, for instance, if I'm serving
yes,
myself, and to serve myself, like I need to kill these people because they're in my way, and I need to bankrupt that family over there because, hey, it's all for myself,
but
right?
that's not in alignment.
Okay. So the alignment is to others, other selves.
Well, the alignment, when you are in alignment with your soul, therefore in alignment with everybody.
Okay.
Okay, because that's how we're connected. We're connected through our souls, through our non-physical consciousness.
Okay.
That's where the oneness comes in. So the human aspect, when we are in alignment with that energy, you wouldn't think about killing anybody. You wouldn't think about
Right.
doing harm, because that's out of alignment thinking that manifests out of alignment situations and circumstances. So we would say you are not serving yourself when you are out of alignment.
Right.
And you don't serve anybody else when you're out of alignment. But the opposite is true too. When you are in alignment, you serve everybody else. When you are in alignment, there is no better gift than you can give to the world than your authentic self. I mean, I'm assuming that you're serving yourself sitting there right now, aren't you?
Well, on to
And
some level, yeah.
look at the people you're serving
Right.
and enjoying it,
Hmm.
because it's a passion of yours. So that's being in alignment. So you're in alignment with your purpose and you
Right.
benefit from it. Therefore, everybody else benefits from it too. Everybody else benefits from it on a vibrational level. As you expand and as you focus on your alignment, you expand, because you're
Right.
sitting in the vibration of love and you're expanding that love. So when you're serving yourself in alignment from your soul's perspective, you are expanding the love vibration and you are walking forward.
Okay. All right. So anything else that you wanted to cover before we talk to Joseph?
Joseph's here. Joseph's always here.
All right.
Let's talk about that
Yeah,
for a
let's
second.
explain that to me. Explain how you access Joseph and what the difference is, and explain that so we can understand.
Yeah. Took a long time to get to this point. I kicked and screamed the whole way because I thought I was supposed to channel like other people channeled. I didn't look like that. I didn't have to go through that process. I didn't have to. And every time I tried to do something that somebody else was doing, I got very frustrated. And all Joseph said through the whole thing was, Cindy, all you need to do is focus. That's all you need to do. That's all any of us need to do. So we are demonstrating the consistent blending of the non-physical and physical vibrations.
Okay.
So I am present the whole time. I don't trance or anything. And
Right.
you've noticed that as I channel, I'm very relaxed about it because they're like standing right behind me all the time. And some
Right.
people will be able to see them. Some of your listeners and your audience will be able to see them. I hear that a lot, that
Yeah.
they're very present. They're present in their light, the light. So it is it's a consistent blending. Like there's no separation. They call it the seamless channel. It's a seamless channel. And this is where we're going. They say, we want to demonstrate the ease of communication. This is just a vibrational communication.
Right.
Anybody who speaks two languages or more, it doesn't matter, and they speak them fluently, they understand that it's just a flow. It's just a flow. And you don't even think about it after a while.
Okay.
And this is where we're going. It's not a big deal. We all have the ability to do it, every one of us.
Right.
And it's very easy. And all you do is focus. You just focus. It takes practice, but that's all it is focus. So I'm focused on them all the time right now. And they're sitting like right here.
Oh, wow.
I
Well,
see them right there.
when I saw Abraham in live, I could see something
Yes.
more. So, and
Yeah.
I can kind of, but I don't know if that's just because there's a blur in my eyes, but I can see something. But I get what you're saying. So when I was thinking, and I've talked about channeling on my channel, there are so many channels
Yeah.
out there that we can access, and a lot of them sometimes contradict. So,
Yes.
like I interviewed Jim McCarty, who is a part of the Law of One channeling. That was sort of a narrow band channel where the person channeling was completely out.
Yeah.
Laying down completely out. They had to go through a very strict process of protecting with a circle and a
Yeah.
banishing ritual. And one person had to ask questions. They could only do it when there were 3 people present. They were attacked by other entities in channeling. So, but the channeling ended up having very interesting and powerful information that has touched a lot of people. Then there are some channelings we find out later that they weren't real, and sometimes so some people will see the channeling and just immediately not believe it because of past experience.
Right.
What you're kind of implying is that part of the new earth is that we will all be channeling, that it's a channeling where there's a conscious akashic record sort of thing that we will all be channeling, and so we need to eliminate this fear of the non-physical.
Yes.
But then there is a fear that I'm opening the door. I don't just let anybody in my house, right?
Yep.
Some people don't have my interest in mind. So there's a part of me that says I really only want to channel my higher self. Can you speak to the differences and the aspects of that?
Well, I can tell you what they have told me and what my experiences have been, and I'm right there with you. I've seen that too. And if anybody has seen the early videos of Jane Roberts
Right.
channeling, very obvious that she's out, not present.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, I say that only because of what she said. I mean, I
Right.
can only speak for myself, and I can only, you know, this is what I understand to be true. First of all, when people are channeling, it's not the channeler we should be paying attention to, but the message. If the message feels true, if the message feels in alignment for you or resonates for you, then it's good for you.
Right.
So we need to, that's a human aspect thing where we're saying, she's a fake, or, they're not listening. How can you hear the message if you're focused on how the channeling is doing the channeling?
Right.
Look at Daryl Anka. I mean, his
Right.
eyes are closed and he's got this thing he's got going, and he's amazing. And
Right.
that's the way he does it. This is what I'm talking about. We're so unique. So what Joseph told me about my style, that I have been doing this for so many eons of time, forever. It's always been my purpose,
Uh-huh.
that this is why it's so common to me in the beginning when it first started. And I was going through frustration and stuff, and they would say, you're trying to make it more difficult than it is because it's so easy for you. And so,
Right. It
we
shouldn't
humans,
be
we got
that
to make everything hard.
Yeah, there's that little thought. This shouldn't be that easy. It doesn't make sense.
Exactly. For years, I had that loud thought for
Right.
years. And finally, I just gave in, and I said, okay, all right, all right. But the other things, this is what I'll say to speak to the other stuff that you notice, like the dark entities and stuff like this. The vibration that you emit is what you attract. So you cannot attract something that you're not giving off. So if you have fear, it's going to manifest that way. This is why we push alignment all the time, because when you are focused, if all you did was ever focus on alignment, you would have a joyful, happy journey downstream,
Right.
because and this is what we're talking about with this kind of communication on the new earth, because we will be more one with everything in that habitat, let's say, than
Right.
we ever have before, which is why moving beyond this realm of fear is so important, because we can't go there with any fear at all. You got to drop your bags. We're going with nothing. And this is why this is why we focus on alignment. I want to get off track. Sorry.
No, no,
So
please get off track.
and
It's all good.
I can't help it, because we're blending, and I'm a talker and they're talkers, and we just keep going.
Yeah.
But so where the dark entities come in, I don't doubt that happens, of course, because it's a manifestation. Every vibration manifests. And if you
Hmm.
believe in something, you will experience it. You're open to experiencing it. I don't open myself to experiencing that. So I know, a couple channels that I went to when I first started hearing them, um, they would say, well, are you protecting yourself? Are you protecting yourself? And of course I never did. But when I had sessions with people, they would protect us, And so I
Hmm.
asked Joseph one time, I said, how come I don't protect myself, And they said, we are your protection. You don't need protection, because and this is vibrationally unique for me. It's
Right.
unique for everybody, and I have moved past the fear of it. So when I'm channeling, I am certainly in alignment, but I can step out any time because I'm feeling it the whole time. It's a feeling that I've gotten used to. So, but I can't speak to how anybody else. I have experienced many other channelers, many.
Hmm.
And, even if you watch Esther from the
Right.
time when she began, she would kind of go into a little, a change. You could see her
Her
change. And
voice
now
would
she
change.
stands
Right.
up
There's a
there.
little accent at
Yes,
the beginning. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
And now she stands up and she talks,
Right.
because she's so blended, because of course she's expanding too. I mean, you expand like crazy when you do this stuff. You just, because the stuff just keeps coming, just downloads all the time, you
How do
know,
you
so you really
differentiate
don't have time.
your voice?
Mm.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to do that.
No, 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 go
Uh,
ahead.
How do you differentiate your voice from theirs in your
That's
head?
a great question. I get that so many times. We all channels get that. How do you know it's you? How do you know it's not some? Well, I said that to Joseph one time. I said, how do I know it's me? And they said, Cindy, it is you. We are you. They started out from day one talking about the oneness that we are. They
Hmm.
have never wavered from it. Every opportunity, every question always comes down to that. It is you. It is you. So for me, it is their language is vibrational, so I feel it.
Okay.
I hear me and I feel them.
Right. Okay.
That's I mean, it's hard to explain because it's a feeling.
Right.
It feels like love. Let's say that.
Okay.
It feels like love. It just,
But they will
a
give you
feel.
specific information though, right? That comes as a feeling. They'll give you some specific information.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been doing it now for a while, so yes. Like
Okay.
the books,
Right.
yeah, that's of course all them. And it is just, yeah, I'm translating a feeling. That's what the vibrational language is, because we have to bring it into the physical somehow.
Right.
So in order for us to experience it, we need to feel it. And
Right.
so it's a feeling. So in the beginning, I could hear their words. If I would get stuck or something, they would actually give me a word and I would hear it. And that sounded like a very loud, soft, subtle voice that I could not mistake.
Right.
And
Okay.
that was good, but I don't need that much anymore. Sometimes I'll ask them, and sometimes they'll say a word that I know but I would not have used, and I stop right in the middle and I go to the dictionary and look it up to see if it makes sense to how it was feeling to me, and it's always spot on, always. And I laugh.
Right.
It's funny where they get these words. So I hope that helps.
No, no,
We're all
yeah.
going to be experiencing this differently. They are reveling right now in our uniqueness, and they want everybody to know that when you are channeling your higher self, and we all channel all the time, it
Right.
just comes out differently. But when you focus on your higher self and communication with your higher self, then it becomes a different experience. It's a conscious channeling.
Hmm.
We
Right.
do it unconsciously all day long. Painters do it all day long, and they say, I don't even know where that came from, but they're channeling that energy, you know? So with this, when you start focusing on it, you start hearing and you go through all your fear and all that doubt and all that stuff. And then you come out on the other side and you realize that it is just a translation of vibration, which is the mover of the universe.
Right.
The universe is all vibrational. So of course we have vibrational language,
Right.
you know?
So one of the human aspects is sort of dualism, the man and woman, good and evil. So there is certainly the aspect of the new earth that's beginning. There's obviously another aspect that may be aware of the new earth and doesn't want it, that it would work against their own intentions. Sometimes you see this you can see it in play. You can see these forces in play that are opposed to this. And I'm not trying to say that out of fear.
I
It's just an
understand.
obvious part of the human aspect. So I'd like to get Joseph's perspective on this, because there are obviously people that do not want Joseph's message to be heard. They don't want Joseph's message to expand, because that would go against their own intentions of what they want. Do you understand what I'm trying to ask?
We do understand. And our our smart ass response to you would be, we don't care.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
care what anybody thinks because we're in alignment all the time.
And so
Only experience what you line up with.
is there nothing they can do about it? There's nothing they
We
can do
would
to
not
stop it?
do, no, we would not try to stop it. We don't see it as you see it. We see it as an experience. It's
Right?
an experience and manifestation of vibration. You're living in the chaos. You're living in manifestations of this darkness that you call it, this darkness. You're living the manifestations on your earth right now. And for those of you who are focusing on alignment and focusing on your unique journey forward to the new earth and you're morphing. As you move, you're morphing into the new human aspect in order to through us. The new earth is available in its non-physical form as we speak. We speak to you as that vibration. With that vibration comes many changes, many opportunities for the new human aspect to step forward, new discoveries of science and technology, and things that there are no words for yet that you will move into. So we don't, nor would we recommend any of our aspects to ever look at or participate in the fear manifestations of anything.
Paint a picture for me to understand and what the new earth is. I want to understand. I've read 1,000 accounts, but from Joseph's perspective, I'm walking on the new earth in the future. Tell me about it. What is it going to be like?
It is what Cindy pictures as her perfect Garden of Eden. And you will experience it the way you interpret it individually. It is a place of sheer beauty that is being built, we will say, that is being foundationed at this time, foundationed in this vibration of love. So if you can picture what a physical, it will be a different physicality than you are used to, of course, so will you be, because your physicalness is a manifestation of your vibrational content, we'll say. So when your vibration changes, your physicalness accommodates. So this new earth is being created by you, by all of you who are creating it in your mind, and you're creating it through moving toward it.
Right.
You're creating it through love. And as you imagine where you're going, which is not so clear right now for many of you, but there are many of you too, like you and like Cindy, who are creating this place of sheer beauty that we cannot describe to you in a visual that exists yet, because it is unfolding along with the new you. So you are creating not only the new you, but simultaneously you are creating the physical new earth where you will live.
Will we have different bodies?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Will that be in the next incarnation? Will our bodies now that we're in now transform into that new body? Or what, do you know how that will work?
The new body will be, exampled. The new body will be exampled by those who move into that vibration.
So when you say exampled, what do you mean?
You will live as this body of vibration.
Okay.
It will be a physical, it will be what, there's not a word. It will be a physical body on a physical earth, but the physicality of the physicalness is different.
Okay. I'm aware of the
human collective is not at the place of understanding this yet. More has to unfold. So we'll give you the domino theory in order to understand how these events unfold.
Okay.
This is, Cindy calls this our famous domino process.
Right.
So, when we were teaching her about the events and how events unfold as opposed to the time that you humans live according to on your planet right now. And we said, where there is no time, the expansion happens through vibrational agreement. And as they began to teach me about this, it was in a meditation, and I was in this room, and the room was not very big, but it was empty, and it had a big white floor. It was beautiful. And I looked, and they said, look at this now. And when I looked down, I saw a perspective I've never seen before, first of all. It was beautiful. But I saw a design of set up dominoes, about a half an inch apart, all of them. And there were swirls and angel wings and it was the most gorgeous piece of art that it was. And I said, okay, I get this. And they said, okay, so look way over in that corner and you'll see where you're going in this next event, the next event that you're saying you're ready for now. And
Right.
when I looked in the corner, it was the coolest thing. This one domino stood up like this to me. It just kind of went like magnified, and it
Right.
said 742 on it. And
Okay.
and so I said, okay, 742. They said, okay, now hit number 410. Just hit 400. So I look and 410 goes up. So I hit 410. Everything after 410, like the most beautiful unfolding of the dominoes as they laid on top of each other, all the way down to 743. And they said, these are the events that have to happen for you and for your expansion before 742 falls down, because
Okay.
you can't understand 742 now.
Well, I'm certainly aware that in this human body, we only have a limited consciousness. We have five senses, and there's obviously a lot more that we could be aware of with our own consciousness. And
Yes.
I have this feeling that they want us to have a larger level of consciousness. It's like we're moving from an animal to another level of consciousness, and it's probably very difficult to explain, right? Would there be more senses that we would have
We
beyond just the five that we are used to in this density that we're in now?
The communication will be all vibrational. Your communication will all be vibrational. Every
Okay.
bit of it. Every bit of it.
So we will talk by thought and vibration. We will not talk by words.
That we would say that that's close. Yes,
Okay.
we would say we're not trying to be evasive,
Right,
but
right.
we don't want to start
Defining something that's not
that can't be defined yet. Yes,
right. Okay.
yes,
I understand
yes,
that.
and yes, you are moving into a much wider awareness. And of course, we want you to move into that space. This is why
Right.
we're here coaching you forward. And you are moving into that space. You have moved from uh, the original space to where
Mm-hmm.
you are now. We are constantly, the universe is constantly expanding. Every aspect of the universe is constantly expanding. We just, when you're in alignment, you're expanding the love, you're expanding who you really are. If you're focused in the fear realm and the fear vibration all the time, you're creating from that fearful realm.
Right.
I picture it as like a swirling hurricane that once you start participating in it, you just get caught in that circle and you just
Right.
go, wow. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So, we don't play in that realm. We only move forward. We don't go back to fix anything. We just move forward, because once you move beyond the realm of fear, that means that you're not focused on it. You're not creating from it anymore. You're not participating in it anymore. And that space to start that journey is the space of alignment.
Has this process occurred on other planets in
Many
the
times.
universe?
This
Okay.
process occurs on a universal scale in many
Okay.
different ways, but it is the process of evolution, which is, from our perspective,
Okay.
vibrational agreement and manifestation in unlimited forms.
Has it happened on Earth before?
Many times,
Okay.
many times.
Well, why aren't we still around when it happens? That's a little concerning to me. If it's happened before, then why aren't we all on the new Earth? Doesn't it stay? Is this time around going to be permanent, or is it just
This
going to be
time, this time right now, and the reason for our timing in this time right now, and if you can shift your perspective to what's happening right now and
right?
the deep chaos that's going on, and the killing, and the just manifestation after manifestation after manifestation of fear.
Right.
That's what's happening now. And the more
Yeah.
focus on it, the bigger it gets. And the bigger it gets. And we have watched this. Now, of course, we knew that this, you are experiencing the delineation of these two worlds, which is the splitting off of the new earth, if you will, which is
Okay.
why we are, I'm going to say, stressing, moving forward in alignment and not participating. We told Cindy early on, be aware, do not participate. And I did get caught in it. I got caught up in it like everybody else did. And after about a week of it, I was feeling physically ill and I was mad all the time. I can't wait to say this to this one. And I said, oh my God, what? And they said, this is why we encouraged you not to participate, because not only does it affect you on a physical level, you know, you're creating from that fear. I mean, you're of course manifesting the vibration in your body, but you're also adding to the collective fear. Instead of expanding love, you're expanding fear. So that darkness you're talking about is alive and well. And if you participate in it, you will experience it. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You can't hear me?
Hold on.
Oh, I heard that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear
All
you
right.
now. Did I fade out or
No,
something?
it was my fault. I bumped it
Oh,
and it
okay.
said,
Okay.
so please tell me if you can't hear me. So yeah,
Okay.
so any participation, but there's this feeling of a collective consciousness that's happening. There's obviously, as I was speaking with Aaron Abke, there's the shadow of humanity that we've kind of pushed down, and I see a mistake in us in trying. We don't want to say, oh, there's a bad thing happening over there, I'll just ignore it, which when that happens, inevitably it'll come up again. There's a part of us trying to solve problems coming together. You're saying to not participate at all. I'm trying to understand what you were saying by that.
Yeah. We do understand what you're saying, and we're not trying to make it sound like we want you to leave everybody to die. That's not from our perspective. But from our perspective, which is a pure love perspective, we knew change was coming because the human collective has been asking for it forever.
Right.
And we knew that the more light that was coming into your planet, and the more light that comes in, the darker the dark gets, right? Because there's always balance.
Right.
So as the light continues to come, because so many are asking for it, you can see the expansion of that just in your technology and your media and all of your channels who have stepped forward, continuously over the past even 100 years, and how just the message is becoming more comfortable and more people are seeking it out. Every time somebody seeks out better, more light comes in.
Right.
So yes, the consciousness is, there are many, first of all, but the consciousness is available now from your seeking, is available. So we're not saying to ignore the people that need help. We're saying act from the state of alignment.
Okay.
Act from the state of alignment, not to get, caught up in the destroying of your earth, or the destroying of your beautiful country out of anger. That is an out of alignment action and behavior. And most of what's going on is out of alignment, which is why you're seeing it. So we don't, there are many explanations that you have touched on here about how this is being described by many people. And all of the descriptions are based on the experience of the channel and the experience. And we're talking about the soul, the soul's experience, the human aspects experience, first of all, the human aspects experience throughout eons of time. So a lot of that has to play in it with the words that are chosen and the description that's trying to be conveyed, because there is an audience for all of it. Right. There is the asking, and all the questions are always being answered, and they're answered through millions of you. They're answered through millions. So we're not saying to ignore that, but we're saying you do more good when you are living authentically, because you are in the love vibration then and expanding authentic love, which helps more people on a vibrational level.
Well, for instance, racism, which is being talked about right now, that's not in alignment. People that are racist are obviously not in alignment. And if we can collectively not be racist, it would certainly solve a lot of problems, but it's not going to instantly, with the snap of a finger, everything's going to be okay. There has to be a sort of discussion about it, right? There has to be everybody saying, yeah, maybe that was wrong, or a change in behavior, or an awareness that that there's other selves involved. Myself, when I see things happening, I see myself. And so I'm seeing that. I'm trying to get your perspective of it, because I don't want to attach myself to the fear, and there's anger and fear in that, but there's also that aspect of me that says, hey, I want to solve this problem. Is there something I can do to solve this problem? We start, and it seems like more and more we see something come up. uh, for instance, tomorrow they could show a very tragic, terrible video of a child that's starving, and then everybody can say, hey, we can't allow that, because we kids shouldn't be. So can I do something about it? There's a more intention for the collective to try to solve problems, which seems to me a bridge of incidents which would lead us to a new earth type of situation. And so do you understand? I don't want to follow every problem, because then that could pull me out of alignment, because I'm focusing on things that are negative vibrationally, but there ultimately would be a better vibration if that problem was solved or minimized. Do you understand the interplay that I'm talking about?
Absolutely, yes. And the most of the problem around that is that the solution is usually looked for where the problem is. And that never solves anything, because you can't solve an out of alignment problem. You can't solve an out of alignment manifestation from an out of alignment position. It only expands the out of alignment manifestation and causes more of them.
Okay.
So we would say, of course, we are teachers of self and self-responsibility, and always focus on your own alignment. We would say in this situation, the racism situation, that when you focus on your own alignment, you see everybody as the soul, you see love in everybody. So this is the way we recommend solving the problem. It is not trying to change other people's minds. It is exempling authenticity and exempling alignment for others. That's how you fix the problem. It sounds like a cop-out to most humans, because they say we're going to band together, but every time you band together and fight against something with seemingly good intentions that are usually out of alignment,
Right.
unknowingly, there's always pushing against, and it only makes the problem bigger. It makes the problem bigger. It makes other people push harder against. So yes, there is a solution. The solution to all the what you are calling problems on your planet right now is individual alignment. That's how you move forward together. People think we harp on alignment. This is why, because this is where the solution is. It is an individual solution. You cannot change the vibration of another person. You can only change your own, and you can only example your own alignment for others. Because when you are in alignment, you live in a peaceful reality.
I can leave seeds, though, that can
You
become
leave the
catalysts
seeds
for them
from
to become
alignment.
aligned.
You leave the seeds from alignment.
Right. But
You
I but
leave the
I
seeds.
cannot necessarily change their vibration, but I can leave a seed, which in some
Yes.
cases could be the catalyst for them to become aligned.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's wonderful if you're leaving the seed from the space of alignment.
Okay.
If you're leaving the seed from alignment, yes, then
Mhm.
it's a loving action. Absolutely. And when you're in alignment, you get impulses to do those things, to help that person. And you don't do it ever to get something back, which unfortunately, is a lot that's going on a lot there. I'm
Right.
going to give to this one, so this one will give to me. And that's not the way that's an out of alignment behavior, because when you give from the space of alignment, you give out of love and because it feels good to you. And that's a selfish feeling. But as you're feeling alignment and feeling love within yourself, you are offering that to other people through
Right.
action, through deed, whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Is there a time frame? Will there be a big event that will happen along this, or will it be just a gradual process, like we're the frog in the boiling pot of water and we just don't notice it? Next thing you know, oh, it's New Earth. I guess it always was. Or is there going to be a big event?
There are several events coming. Uh, what they will be is your choice. This is
Okay.
why we say, get in alignment. And this is why we say we knew this was coming. We knew the event was coming,
Okay.
the splitting of the delineation of the worlds. We knew that was coming, but it was up to you, the human collective, how you were going to get there. And so now
Can you
you're
describe what the event will be?
no,
It would work against us to know?
no, we don't, there is no, from our perspective, there are no more predictions because the energy is moving so quickly. We've described it before as you are thinking a thought, you are placing a paver in front of you to step on. It's almost now simultaneous motion where the thought comes in and then you are living the physical experience of it. There is so much there's only prediction from the space of alignment, and that prediction is motion forward in love.
Okay.
Everybody, we get this question a lot because people want to know what's going to happen. Is there going to be, or we're going to have a war? Are we going to have all this, and we don't get involved in that because that is your choice,
Okay.
what you choose. And there are so many events that are probable. We are living under an umbrella of unlimited probabilities that are swaying like this and like this and like this in every single moment. So we would never predict. We can tell you that you will at one point end up on the new earth. That's what we'll promise you. And there is motion forward always from the state of alignment. And that's how you move the consciousness forward.
So galactically then, with your knowledge of galactic history, when it's happened, these events that are similar in the transition have happened on other planets. Can you tell me about those?
Other galaxies, they happen, they are vibrational agreements that most of which in other galaxies, the human collective there's no description of it.
But there's nothing comparable to, is there a war?
No.
Is there riots?
There's no,
There is a
well,
transition to this new aspect that we're talking about.
are you assuming that the transition to the new earth will be a painful one?
I'm not assuming anything. At this point in time, I have read uh, multiple readings that have this scary warning that you'll get.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Drunvalo Melchizedek and the Taos Indians talk about there's a cleansing, like things, plastics like start dissolving. People start seeing their fears almost immediately. They have a hard time once the light is amplified. If I think of a spider, the spider is not just, it's almost immediate. So people without control of their fears start having fearful things happen. Things start going out of control. That's what some of these channeled entities have indicated. Dolores Cannon has multiple entities that have said that it's going to be really tragic and terrible, and that if people don't align their hearts and minds, they'll realize it's too late. It takes time, but there's always a little mystery behind it. There's some channeled entities that have gone through this on other planets, where only like a third of the entities survive. I don't know. I honestly have no idea because of all the contradicting information. I don't feel like I'm fearful about it. And I know that that's important. I don't have a fearful about it. But there's just too much information to disseminate. So as somebody that knows and has an expertise as an aspect of that, I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be not told because it could create fear. I just want to understand. I want to understand. That's all I'm trying to do. So I don't have any assumptions, really. I don't. I just have
There just
so much
seems
knowledge that comes in.
there seems to us to be when messages like that come out, and we would never discount any of them, but what you described about people seeing their fears so quickly and manifesting them, that's been happening since you've been living in the contrast.
Right.
You're just being told that it's going to happen faster. Is that what it is? And we're telling you that the energy is very fast and you're manifesting very quickly now. And we would applaud Dolores Cannon for her perspective of that because she was too teaching alignment, and this is the way out. Alignment is your way out. You don't experience, you don't just land on the new earth one day. you move to the new earth. You allow the energy that we are, the vibration that we are, to move you in that direction and away from the fear, which means not concentrating on the fear and not looking at what could happen, because there are so many probabilities again that
Right.
could happen, and every single one of them is available for your choosing.
There's a lot of entities that have channeled that have discussed the previous history of the human race and how we're very unique, coming from different planets. Also, that we're in some sort of quarantine controlled by a council in our solar system. Can you tell me more about that? Is there
What's the question?
federations? There, many different channeled entities have discussed the uniqueness of the human situation, in that we are incarnated from multiple planets that have destroyed themselves in this solar system. And so it's not normal for the galaxy. We have entities that have destroyed planets that are reincarnated, trying to learn from our previous experiences. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that's what they have said. And several entities have said that we are quarantined. The earth is quarantined to protect us from outside influences as we go through this process. That maybe that's what you're referring to. Is that true? Is it not true? Can you give us your perspective of that information?
Yes, we would say it's all true. We would also say that there are many galaxies that are watching what's happening here, because this is not only an earth shift, this is a shift in consciousness that affects the entire universe. It affects the
I've
all.
heard that, and I don't
So,
understand that. Just our little planet can affect the whole
well,
galaxy.
of course, yes,
Yeah.
because it's vibrational.
Okay.
Remember, we're in a vibrational universe. So
Okay.
every vibrational shift affects everything on a vibrational level.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you your individual vibration, when you shift your individual vibration, it affects everything about you,
Right.
including your physical being. So all of those things are true. Our perspective of all of those things are they are events, they are universal events, and the time frame is eternity. There
Okay.
is no there is no end to anything. So we have always been focused on the expansion of love. So we don't play in those realms, although we are aware of them.
Okay.
And we understand too that everything is always expanding, and everything always expands in its own way based on its own vibrational agreement. We don't like to sound like, maybe Cindy calls us sometimes a broken record player, because we're saying this over and over, but this is what we're teaching,
Right.
that it doesn't play a role in your evolution. If it distracts you from your motion forward, it's exciting to see, and some of your best movies have been mirrored from some that were described in that way, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. But we see from the loving aspect, we see the expansion of the loving consciousness that is moving our human aspect forward to create this new species and this new beautiful planet.
So
New
explain what
beautiful
you mean when you say human aspect, and help us to understand we're moving into a new human aspect. So explain what that
Yeah.
means.
We're creating the new human aspect. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
describe this the way Joseph has taught me, and that is, well, you know, the pumpkin pie theory, that the whole pumpkin pie is the all of everything, and every little tiny sliver of it that has every single ingredient in it is as powerful as the entire pie. So, and the entire pie cannot be a complete pie with one piece missing, even if it's a little crumb, right? So we say our soul, my soul, is where Joseph is. So my soul is the non-physical aspect of me, higher
Mm-hmm.
self, inner being, whatever. It's that higher consciousness. It is the future self. It is the Bashar of Daralanka.
Right. Right.
Right. Okay. So that's our non-physical self. We are the physical self. We are the soul said, I'm going in, and I'm going to, and poof, we
Mm-hmm.
come into this physical vibration.
Right.
So we are always connected to our aspects. We have access to all of our aspects on all different timelines, because we've lived, every time we've come into the physical to experience the physical human aspect, we have lived on umpteen, different vibrational timelines, all of which are accessible
Hmm.
by all of us being collective human aspect, the individual collective.
Right.
We're the captains. Okay, so Joseph said one day when we really started teaching this aspect thing, what's going on right now, I thought this was so cool. They said, they used me, of course. So I have a lot of other vibrations going, right? I have a lot of human aspects, been here a long, long time, many times. So they said some of those experiences didn't end so good. They said, we won't go into detail, but they didn't end so good. So that
Right.
means that I died out of alignment, right? So
Right.
now this incarnation, all of us who are here now are like the captains of our individual human aspects. And
Hmm.
we are the human aspect. We collectively are the human aspect of our soul. Okay. So now is the time for us, the captains, the current human aspect, to expand all the other aspects forward into alignment so we can move collectively, individually
Hmm.
into the new earth vibration with no fear. This is why a lot of people are saying, I don't know why this is coming up. I don't know where this fear is coming from. Most likely, this is an aspect stepping forward for expansion of, it's part of the collective you. Is
Hmm.
this making sense?
Mostly making sense. I think it makes sense. Yes.
It's, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. So I envisioned this when they were teaching me this. I had envisioned it in a meditation, and I was me, but I was bigger than they were. And I looked to my right and I saw, I couldn't see the end of the line, but I saw kind of like these light bodies,
Mhm.
and they were standing in a line, and the same on the left. And I just put my hands out like this, and I grabbed the proverbial hands of the ones, and we all, this huge line, like down a beach, we all stepped forward together away from the realm of fear. Now, that's not to say that I still don't have fear, because I do.
Right.
Certainly not anywhere like it used to be. But now, so we step forward. So that's the analogy they gave me. So this is why, so we're the strongest. We are a compilation of all the vibrations of all of our physical aspects before. That when we leave here, that vibration remains dormant. It's still there. And so when the soul says, I'm going back, it focuses on that physical vibration and we pop up, you
Okay.
know? I mean,
Right.
this is how I'm describing it. This is how it made sense to me.
It makes sense to me. Is part of our advancement into a group consciousness where there's a group mind that forms beyond our own individual aspect?
There's a group mind now, and that's our soul.
Right.
That's where our collective group mind is. But we are always individual.
Right.
They said your vibration is so unique to you. They told me when they said your vibration is what makes your fingerprints.
Right.
It's like your
Oh,
fingerprints are
wow,
a
that's cool.
manifestation. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said, this is how unique you are. And they want us so much to revel in our uniqueness and not try to be so much alike and try to compare ourselves, because that's an out of alignment position,
Okay.
because it pretty much says, I'm not good enough the way I am. Now, we just wrote a blog. I don't know if you saw it. It was really powerful to me before I wrote it, but they were talking about, everybody says, well, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. And they're saying they really want us to shift that old paradigm teaching or old paradigm way of thought to understanding where that comes from, that we are the perfect manifestation of the vibration that we are.
Right. Okay.
So we're perfect all the time. We're perfect all the time. We're the perfect manifestation of our unique vibration.
But it
And we
would
can
be a lot of
change it.
fun if we could raise the vibration.
Well, we are raising the vibration. You're raising the vibration by leaps and bounds just by what you do. Thank you very much for that too.
Oh, good.
But we all are. That's what all the teachers, that's why I think you saw in the beginning when all this stuff started out there, they put out like this bulletin, you know, attention, all teachers, way showers, light workers, whatever you want to call yourselves, come together, help each other. Now we are important to this shift because we are leading the way.
Right.
Everybody who's listening, everybody who you attract, they're all teachers. They're all teachers, powerful teachers that are being drawn to all this wonderful information you're putting out there. And it's so important. It's so important right now just to be focusing on alignment because people want a way out. They may not understand it right now, but people are being guided. They're
Mm-hmm.
being guided, and the more they pay attention, the more prevalent it becomes in their mind because they feel better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we're creating peace and we need to go to the new earth in peace. We don't
Right.
bring any fear there. So we must walk, you know, when Ram Dass put this on a thing the other day, Ram Dass said, we're all walking each other home. He's not kidding.
Right.
He's absolutely right. So I picture us all holding hands and just moving forward. And when we get there, yes, it will be a oneness. I had an experience in Telos. I was there for a long, long time. And part of my job in Telos at Mount Shasta
Mm-hmm.
was when that was, I was one of the, and I'm saying this for a comparison that you asked for earlier, that when the city was being developed, I'm putting these in human words because, you know, whatever. When the city was being developed, I was on the creative team of the design of the city. And so when I went back there a few years ago, I went back there in meditation with a friend of mine who was living out there at the time and had done some work with Master Adama, actually, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And so I went back there and it was amazing. The visual that I had of this place that I hadn't been in hundreds of thousands of years. I mean,
Right.
long time, you know. So you say, what will it look like? And I'm saying, I've seen what Telos looked like. I've seen the beginning of that. And this will only be, if it's even possible, more beautiful than that. You know, it's just pure beauty. It's just, if you can visualize manifested love everywhere you look, that's what it'll look like.
It's very exciting.
It's really exciting.
What happened when those other when we've done it before in our past?
Mm.
What happened?
We happened.
So we went backwards at some point. Something
Never go
happened
back.
that took us back because we're doing it again. So it seems like we're just running in a loop, right?
Well, you say you're doing it again, but remember that you're doing it based on the vibration that's there now, based on the consciousness of the vibration.
Right.
Third dimension consciousness expands too. Everything expands.
Right.
Everything. So
but
you
the
can't,
planet was at a higher vibration before, is what you're saying.
compared to what?
Well, yeah. Compared to right now, to us on this planet now, this planet was at a higher vibration. It's never been at a higher vibration before.
You don't go back. You don't go, but you don't, it's like saying, I'm going to unexperience something.
Okay.
We were having a conversation with a woman the other night who was saying, in fact, I think it was the podcast. Anyway, she was saying, I know I need to go and unlearn these things. I need to unlearn these things. And we said to her, no, we're moving beyond the realm that creates those things. I mean, so the human aspect has been here for eons of time, right? Eons.
Right.
We've always been in the contrast, always evolving and expanding, but still in the contrast. So now we have the opportunity to expand out of it. And through all that time, we have evolved, but you don't. So if you were going to unlearn your complete human history, you individually, hundreds of thousands of experiences that you've had, we are teachers of movement forward. We are saying there's no need to go back and try to refocus on an experience that you had because you cannot unexperience anything.
Right.
You can not think about it, but you can't unexperience a vibration. So
Right.
we say move forward. We say move and look at it as an experience and not a mistake.
Right.
not a mistake, because everything expands. The universe doesn't contract. The universe doesn't implode.
But we're implying our civilization may have been highly technological
Very.
and then completely wiped out, and we're still
Well,
expanding when that happens. We went all the way back and started over, and essentially we were cavemen again, right?
that's a perspective.
Okay, well, I don't want to
Remember,
be a caveman again. I would like the
well,
human
you
race
won't be a caveman
again,
again. Now
right?
remember what we're talking about. You're talking about cavemen times, and you're talking about that happened when, and our perspective is from it's all happening now.
Okay,
Vibrational timelines never go away. They shift and change. You shift and change.
okay,
Every vibration shifts and changes. The vibrational timelines are moving now all the time. So the cavemen that you talk about, that vibration is active.
okay.
So we don't look back. We don't say a past life regression. We say another experience, a different experience of a different vibration that manifested differently based on the focus of the
Right,
species that was living there.
right. Is there anything I can do with my podcast or channel to aid in the new Earth's development? What in particular that I can add, or any meditations or techniques or teachings that I can offer?
We would never ask you to do more than you are doing now. You have no idea the effect that you're having now and that you've had, and it will continue to expand exponentially because it is a passion that you have experienced and perfected in many, many lifetimes.
Ah,
And it has changed as you have changed and as your resources have changed, and
mhm,
you have just you have just rolled with it. You have adapted in every single experience, and you are what we refer to as successful because of your choosing from alignment, and the alignment is what drives. You are at a higher level, and you are operating from that higher vibrational level in every passion that you have, and the result of that is constant expansion and constant drawing to it that matching vibration. So there's not anything.
wow,
You are being guided and you are following nicely, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to share our perspective of the new earth. But your willingness and ability to share the messages of the teachers that have come for eons of time with very important messages at this time, we would say you are right on the money.
oh well, you made my day. Thank you for so much for saying that. It's
And you have
very,
made ours.
they're very nice.
You have made
Why is
ours.
it there's a part of me that doesn't want, I think it's my heart that explicitly does not want to know about my past lives. Like anytime I'm a hypnotist, I've helped other people regress and look at past lives. But there's a part of me that just is like that. It will not help you. In fact, it will be to your disadvantage. Does that make sense?
Yes, in fact, Cindy has asked that question throughout the years to us, because she has many friends that just they go and they get these akashic readings and they find out all their beautiful lives
Right.
in Egypt and on other planets, and I'm one of this group, and they just love it, and it's so exciting to them, and it's
Hmm.
wonderful for Cindy to hear, and she feels sometimes a little disappointed that she doesn't care.
Right.
And so we said to her, because you've been there, done that, it's not important to you anymore. You're focused on your mission in this time, and there's nothing wrong with that. She loves to hear the stories from others and she loves to read about them, but she really doesn't care. She doesn't see the benefit to her at
Right.
this time around. It doesn't, she feels the same way, that it just doesn't, it's fun to hear it, but it's not something she seeks.
It might distort my whole identity to a point where there's a part of me that thinks that, at least. So probably not, but uh, it's
No.
um, there. I'm sure every time that I talk to you, I'm sure that I'll remember some questions that after the fact, which is usually the case. Uh, I wanted to ask, if this is related. I've been having this, I, like I've said, I don't like, there's a part of me that doesn't want to channel. I don't want to open the door, but when I'm reading these authors, I've been having these experiences where it's like the author's right there with me, telling me what to read. I can hear them talking in their voice. I don't think that I'm actually channeling them, but I'm accessing some memory of them. I did an episode on Bruce Lee the other day, and it was like Bruce Lee was talking to me. Is there, am I going insane? Is this just my creative mind that's doing this? Is there anything to it?
There's a lot to it. Yes, you are channeling all the time. You have a fear against knowing that you do it, but you know you do it. So
Right.
you are here, you are absolutely hearing those vibrations, you are hearing. And when we said that you are being led, this is what we're talking about. You are so in tune with those that Cindy's picturing like the lovingly, the gang from Greece. You're hanging around with your crew. You're hanging around with your crew.
Right.
And
I
so
get
when
that.
this is part of why you're assisting and sharing their messages, because it's your message too. All the messages that resonate with you and you are bringing forward for others. You love the message. You love even
Right.
the contrast in the messages that you're experiencing. You're diving deep. So we would say, yes, as you continue to listen to your higher self who is communicating, and you are blending, you are doing what Cindy is doing all the time. It's very natural for you to, and you're
Right.
doing this. And as you accept it, you'll experience more of it. And you
Oh, cool.
ultimately will be channeling on your own. You're doing it now, but you kind of have you have this, what some people call a veil, but you have built this veil for yourself. And this does
Right.
have to do
I get that.
with not other purposes, other lifetimes where you were doing this purpose. Cindy had to get over the same kind of thing.
Right.
And it happens with a lot of us because we ended that, a relatable physical experience
Right.
that didn't end so well. So we
Right.
have that fear there, and this human aspect is saying, but I don't know why, but it's that human aspect stepping forward saying, this is why, it
Right.
didn't end so well last time I did this. So now I don't trust myself,
Do we
you
get
know?
fears from our past lives that we
Well,
can eliminate? Sometimes those may be working against us because
this
fear in
is,
general. Can
this is
we
what we're
eliminate?
talking about.
Yeah.
This is the aspects that we're talking about. That exact thing. We're talking
Hmm.
about the vibration of those past lives. If there is an out of alignment vibration within that human aspect lived,
Right.
you following?
Right. Right.
That is part of this human aspect's vibration. We are a compilation of the vibrations that we've lived. So
Right.
if we experienced a fearful ending on at another lifetime, and we are experiencing that fear in this lifetime too, in some way.
Right.
So this is where the aspects come in. That's why we're teaching about the aspects, so we can teach people how to move beyond that, to move
Right.
beyond yourself, beyond it, because you're saying, I am ready to do this. We all stood up and said, well, generally speaking, we all stood up and
Right.
said, I will go forward and move myself forward. And as I move myself forward, I'm moving everybody else with me
Right.
down the pathway to the new earth. And it's really stepping over a line. It's stepping out of the gray area into the white. That's how I picture it. A gradient that happened over the course of eons of time.
Right.
And now we're at a position we've never been before, with the opportunity to live as physical beings on the new earth with no fear, to live as physical beings with no fear. That's the new
Right.
human aspect.
So some of this helping people to release fear
Yeah.
is past life fear. Is
Yes.
there a way for me through meditation? Is there a way for me to help free people of it's almost a useless program that people are kind of stuck in? The fear is, it feels like the fear that
Yes.
they're experiencing, it's an over, it's like
Yes.
like they're in sixth grade and they have to keep on repeating the same grade
Exactly.
over and over, and they don't know, and it's so I can feel it, I can see it,
Yep.
like on a large scale. Is there some way to reach into the subconscious and say, you're free now. You can just let that stuff go. There's no reason for you to be fearful. I wish there was is there something that you think that might be effective in helping to do that?
Well, we teach, of course, we know our process is effective, and
Right.
we teach that it is recognizing your in alignment or out of alignment choosing of thoughts.
Okay.
So it's really important to understand, to feel, to get in touch with how you feel when you're in alignment and when you're out of alignment. You know, we do this whole analogy of going down the river and all the thoughts in the river. You know, mine were, and I mean, I'm sitting on the side of the river, and with the soul on my soul is on my right, and my ego aspect is on my left, and it's a beautiful river. I put it out in Montana somewhere,
Right.
and it's full of these big red and white balls, huge, and they're popping up, and they're just tons, and they represent every thought that has ever been thought. Every thought vibration are in these balls. So they say, Cindy, choose a thought. So of course I reach for the red ball because it's shiny and it's pretty and it's really nice. As soon as I take the red ball, the ego, my ego friend aspect, starts nudging me with negative emotion. That's an out of alignment thought. So I start to feel the out of alignmentness of that thought. And if I ignore that little, you know, if I ignore that nudge and I say, well, I'm going to build a bowl of all these red ones because they're so pretty, and I start taking more, it feels worse because now I'm creating a momentum from an out of alignment thought that's going to manifest in an out of alignment situation for me, right? I am building the fear. So if I pick a fearful thought, which, you know, that umbrella of fear has unlimited manifestations, jealousy, anger, resentment, races, everything, put tons of them under there. And all of that we lump under fear because it doesn't really matter what the catalyst is. What matters is if you're out of alignment or not. So the ego starts nudging you, don't pick that thought. You're out of alignment. You're not going to like where that's going to end. So then I throw them back and I pick up, I reach out and I pick up a white ball and I turn to my right, and the soul high fives me and says, pick up more of those. And I start feeling the emotion of love and I keep picking those thoughts. So pretty soon I'm creating this momentum and building and building toward the manifestation through the momentum I'm creating to manifest an in alignment, loving base thought.
Right.
So we teach that on purpose because that's really the basis for moving beyond the fear. It's not dwelling in why, how, all this stuff. They're saying there's no dilly-dallying now. There's no time for that. Just recognize if it's out of alignment, move beyond it. Throw it back, pick something else. As Abraham says, pick a different thought. Just pick a different thought.
Right.
Pick a better thought.
You talk about the ego a lot. And so,
Yeah.
Because a lot of people want to eliminate the ego.
Yeah.
And so that is probably impossible. That's the one thing that I've, but the ego can distort or can be a distortion and work against us sometimes. It's all, you're saying that we need to train the ego, or the ego can't be always right compared to the soul. When the soul is saying one thing and the ego is saying another, you're saying I should listen to the ego?
We're saying that the ego, first of all, isn't saying anything.
Okay.
The ego speaks to you through negative emotion. The ego is, we just did a quote on this not that long ago. The ego is like your lifeline in the third dimension. Okay. The soul is the lifeline in the fifth dimension, let's just say, the dimension of no fear. So when we choose, the human aspect has got to start taking responsibility for its own choosing. You are in a choosing based universe. Everything is your choice. The ego is not telling you to do anything. The ego doesn't want you to fail. You're choosing. You're what?
Is the ego afraid?
Of what?
You said it gives you negative emotions.
Okay. Look, let's go back to the river. Okay. The human aspect, me, I'm doing my own choosing. right? I'm choosing the thoughts I want to focus on, right?
Right.
So I'm doing it, Cindy, I'm
Hmm.
doing it. So, but those thoughts, but of course, the representation of the river is all those thought vibrations are available for our choosing, the
Right.
human aspect choosing. We are the choosers,
Hmm.
total free will,
Right.
right? So so the ego is our friend in that when I, Cindy, choose a negative thought or choose a fearful thought, regardless of what it is, the ego tells me through providing the
Okay.
negative emotion that the soul will not provide. The soul can't provide negative emotion because it's all based in love.
Right. Okay.
So the soul says, look, ego, you go and hang out with them in the third dimension and give them the nudges and the negative emotions so they know when they're out of alignment with me. The ego was conjured and created from love. The ego's doing us a favor and we're trying to get rid of it. How are
Hmm.
you going to get rid of it? What do you want to do with it? First of all. So so I love their perspective because as soon as I got that perspective, it took I had tons of relief because all of a sudden now what I was taught was another outside thing that can affect me and wants me to fail. Something else I need to fight against is now controlling me. Now my shift in that perspective took that whole thing away. And
Okay.
so
Yeah.
much fear dumped off my back because I don't get that. I never understood that whole explanation of the ego. And I know a lot of people are still teaching it.
Hmm.
But why would first of all, who created the ego? The people that teach that, where did the ego come from?
Well, I've heard one interpretation that the ego is just the physical part of your body that is not going to survive when you're done. That's somewhat conscious. Now, maybe that's one interpretation I've
That's
heard.
one teaching. Yes, I've heard that.
Another is it's an aspect of your human personality for you. So the first part is defining the ego. Obviously, the physical part of my body doesn't want to die and knows that it will never be around anymore, and it's distorted and it's fear based. If that's my ego, maybe it's not.
That's
There's so
your
many
that's
different.
your understanding. That's your
I
belief.
don't think that's my understanding anymore, but I've
Oh,
heard
okay.
that explanation
Oh, okay. I see what
multiple
you're saying.
times.
Yeah.
So I think that's where people are coming from. Maybe they're referring to a different aspect of the ego. So I think the first part is, what would you define the ego as?
We define the ego as an aspect of the soul. It is
Okay.
an aspect of us, which means it was conjured and created from love.
Okay.
And
Then to me,
it
then
is an assistant to the human aspect. It is assistant to us because we don't see separation between our aspects.
hmm.
We talk like this because Cindy talks like this, but we don't see separation. We see when fear, when the fear vibration is sitting there, we see that our human aspect, who is us from love,
Right.
is now choosing. We are together choosing to visit the contrast for the expansion of loving consciousness. And
Hmm.
we do that by continuing to choose.
Okay.
The human aspect is the chooser in this threesome. The
Right.
human aspect is the chooser. So when we're choosing in alignment thoughts of love and help and everything that you're talking about earlier, you're in alignment because you're in agreement with your soul. And when you're not choosing in alignment thoughts, your ego is warning you through negative emotion. The ego is providing the negative emotion. So yes, we would say the ego is part of your body
Right.
vibrationally, but it's not trying to control you. It's giving you indications that you are out of alignment by the negative emotion. When you're feeling positive emotion, you are in alignment. When you're feeling negative emotion, you're out of alignment. And that's the ego's purpose from our perspective. And if you adopt that, you can test it out. Um, Encourage
Right.
you to do that. But if you would give that perspective a whirl, you would see that you are lightening your load by a lot.
Yeah.
Now you have a helper. You
It-
are always being guided, and that the ego aspect is part of our guidance for us, our human aspect.
so is the ego my heart? Is it my subconscious?
It's a vibration.
It's just a
It's
vibration.
part of your vibration.
Okay.
We describe, somebody asked us one time, what our perspective of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit is.
Mm-hmm.
And from our perspective, the Father represents the all, the complete
Mm-hmm.
pumpkin pie. The Son is the human collective, the human aspect. And the Holy Spirit is the vibration of the human aspect blended with its soul, the
Oh, okay.
individual human aspect, which includes the vibration of the ego.
Right. That
It's
makes more
part, but
sense
it's
to me.
but it's part of the love vibration.
Right.
It's not part of the fear vibration. It's there to assist,
Right.
because you wouldn't know you were out of alignment unless you had indication of it.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure I'll think of some more questions, and I really
Oh, we
appreciate you
love it.
spending the time with me.
Oh, it was
And
wonderful. Thank you.
thank you, Joseph, so much. I appreciate you guys so much, and
So
I will continue to learn. And
yeah.
so, anybody that wants to get coaching
Mm.
from you, they go to the teachingsofjoseph.com. Is that the
Yes.
best place to go?
Yes, sir.
And
Thank you.
they can and you have 6 books now, or 5? 4
Four.
books. Okay.
Don't push me.
All right. And
Another one coming. It's going to be a good
all right.
one.
Awesome. Can't wait to read it. And are those on Audible yet?
No, and you're the third person that brought that up to me in 2 days. I'm trying to do everything, but I'm doing everything myself.
I can
So
always
it's a
read them
little,
for you if you want. Just
it's,
let me know.
you are so, you know what? That's funny, because there's part of I'm going to talk to you about that, because I said that to somebody. I'm going to get Brian to do this. We were going to translate a meditation, as a matter of fact. And I said to her, I'm going to ask Brian if he'll do it for me,
Yeah,
and
let me know.
she said, no, it has to be in Joseph's voice. I said, not for this one. There's special. So I will talk to you about that.
Okay.
That'll be kind of cool. That will be good. So yes, yay. Thank you for offering, because I'm going to take you up on it.
All
And
right.
thank you so much. We're so grateful for everything
I'm
that you
grateful as
do,
well.
and the time
Thank
that you give all of us too.
And
Thank
Joseph, welcome to the Reality Revolution.
you. We love it here.
Thank you. Well, welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm just really excited today because this is the first day that my book is released. This is it, the Reality Revolution. Worked on this for a very long time. So many of the things that I discovered along the way, and I was excited to share it with everybody. Tell you a little bit about it. I'm like everybody else. I'm interacting in the world and starting to realize that my thoughts created reality. As I did this, I started to see some major shifts in my reality. I started to explore the idea of maneuvering through parallel realities. I'm your host, Brian Scott.